Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So I just want you to take a moment before I get started to think about how much emotional, psychological, spiritual energy you spend wondering what other people think about you. Wondering if they like the decisions you make, wondering if they like how you look, wondering if they like how you conduct yourself in the world. I suspect that many of us spend a lot of energy worried about, or at the very least resonant with, other people's perceptions about us. This morning's Torah reading, and in particular, a way that it is understood in rabbinic tradition, actually speaks to that tendency of us, I would argue, over-worrying about how it is that other people view us. So we know that Moses sent 12 scouts into the land, and 10 of them came back and said, although the land is beautiful, it is Eretz Ochelet Yoshveha. It is a land that consumes its inhabitants. We are going to get killed if we try to go there. The people there are giants. And in one incredible statement, which is so fanciful, it could come out of a beautiful book of discovery and imagination, they say, Vanahi kechagavim be'einenu, vechein hayinu be'einehem. We appeared like grasshoppers in our eyes, and that is also how we appeared in their eyes, in the eyes of the inhabitants. Now, there is a beautiful midrash in which God says to the children of Israel, I'm disappointed in you. Not because you saw yourselves as teeny tiny little grasshoppers, you can look at yourselves however you want, but because you assumed that they saw you that way. How do you know how they saw you? Perhaps with my inspiration, they saw you as angels, not as grasshoppers. God saying to our ancestors, do not presume to know how other people perceive you. And I would go even a step further. If other people perceive you a certain way, that does not have to have the final vote on who you are and how you live your life. What has the final vote? The very beginning of the Torah, where human beings are created, and we are told that we were created b'tselem Elohim, in God's image. What does that mean? It means that each human being bears the infinite spark of God, of our Creator. So we are being told at the outset, the very defining moment of the Torah, that we are defined not by whether other people think we are large or small or loud or quiet or to this or to that, but rather by the divine spark that we each have. For far too long, people have been defined by the way that other people view them. Jewish people have been historically defined as being killers of God, being vermin that need to be extinguished, being heretics. We have been defined in the most horrific ways by other people. I urge us, in keeping with this notion of Tselem Elohim, to embrace ourselves as divine creatures who are worthy of existence as we are bearers of a beautiful tradition. That is true of every other religious community. They have the right to see themselves, to define themselves as they understand themselves. Not just during June, during Pride Month, but all year round, people have a right to define themselves in terms of their sexuality and in terms of their gender. Not just weeks after Juneteenth, people have the right to define themselves proudly in terms of their racial identity, their ethnic identity. For far too long, others have presumed to be able to say, what I am is the best thing. And if you are not the way that I am, then you are falling short. What right does one human being have to say that towards another when we are told in our scripture that every human being bears the stamp of the infinite creator? Now, I want to take a step back and identify that there is a crisis afoot within our country, and not just this country. We are being told, there are studies being done, that teens and young adults are experiencing more depression and more anxiety now than ever before. I submit to you that part of that comes from an extraordinary obsessive concern with what other people think that is magnified by social media. And so younger people are worried, how many likes do I get? How many people are writing to me? How many people care about me? Generations ago, we worried about that in the market square or in our place of business or at school. Nowadays, our young people are carrying around a constant reminder of how many people are thinking of them this way or that way. And it's terrifying. And it is having a very profound effect emotionally on an entire generation. It is important for us in this space and other spaces like it to communicate to each generation, particularly this younger emerging generation, that their decency and their self-worth should not be monopolized by other people. That their decency and self-worth comes from who they are, bearing an infinite divine spark. And so I invite all of us, all ages, to try, if we can, to take a step back and to say, I'm not going to worry about what so-and-so might be thinking, or what I heard so-and-so said about me behind my back to somebody else. It is exhausting, it is depleting, it is bringing us down, and that is not the way the Torah wants us to live our lives. So I want to take a bunch of steps backward, and then I will conclude. First, to Moshe Rabbeinu, to Moses, our teacher. I spoke about this recently. God said to Moses, I want you to go to Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let the people go. And what does Moses say? Mi ani, who am I to do such a thing? It took him a long time to gain enough confidence to be able to do what it was that God asked him to do. Let's go further back. Let's go further back almost to the creation. When God calls out to Abraham, what does Abraham say? Not mi ani, who am I, but hineni, here I am. That is what Abraham says. And Abraham is the progenitor of so many of us in the world. So many look to Abraham as being the model. I want us each to be able to say that word and to mean it. Hineni. Here I am, regardless of what someone on social media says about me, regardless of what others might say about my essence. Here I am. And then to really be able to embrace the other as the other is. And that will be the opportunity for us to embrace the infinite spark that exists within us and that exists within other people. This is an incredible legacy that we can give to the world. My sense of who I am begins with the divine spark. I hope you like it, but if not, I'm going to be okay. Shabbat Shalom.